You know, every time a new life-saving medicine gets developed, it runs into this massive hurdle, getting approved by dozens of different countries. And why? Because every single country has its own rule book. It's a maze that costs time, money, and most importantly, it can cost lives. So, how do we fix that? How do we build a global superhighway for medicine?
And that's the thing. It sounds like a simple question, right? But the stakes are incredibly high. You see, a regulatory delay in one country can create a ripple effect, slowing down access for patients literally everywhere. To get a breakthrough treatment from the lab to the people who desperately need it, we need a system that's truly global, really smart, and super efficient.
And for a long time, the reality was pretty stark. Before we had a unified approach, companies were forced to run the same clinical trials over and over and over again for different regulators. Just imagine the wasted resources, the redundant testing, and the critical, painful delays for patients just waiting for a cure. So the goal? Yeah, it was to completely flip that script, to create one set of global standards for a single, streamlined process, ultimately unlocking faster access for everyone.
Okay, so to really get why the solution is so brilliant, you first have to understand just how big the problem was. We are talking about a totally fragmented world, where the path to approving a new medicine was this messy patchwork of conflicting rules.
And then, out of all that chaos, came this. Well, this harmonious solution. An organization designed specifically to get the entire world singing from the same hymn sheet. It's called the International Council for Harmonization, or as most people know it, ICH.
All right, so what is the ICH really? It's this really fascinating, kind of unique partnership. I mean, this isn't some top-down organization telling everyone what to do. Nope. Ever since it was founded back in 1990, the ICH has been bringing competitors and their overseers, the pharmaceutical industry and national regulators, to sit at the same table and actually agree on the science and the technical stuff for approving new drugs.
And its journey, man, it's been one of incredible growth. So it all kicked off in 1990 as a collaboration between the three big players at the time, Europe, Japan, and the United States. But then 2015 was a huge year. That's when it restructured as a nonprofit. And that one change basically supercharged its ability to go global. And pretty soon, in 2025, it'll mark 35 years of this vital work. Okay, so what's the mission here? What does the ICH actually do? Well, at its core, it's all about making sure medicines are safe, effective, and top quality. No surprise there. But the real genius is how they do it, by getting rid of the need to duplicate clinical trials, which also helps reduce unnecessary animal testing, and just making the whole process of developing and approving drugs way smarter and way faster. Now, that all sounds great in theory, right? But who's actually in the room making these huge decisions? Let's take a look at who's at the table, because that's where the real power of the ICH comes from. So at the heart of it, you have the ICH Assembly. This is the core decision-making group, and it's made up of 25 members. Think of these as the regulators and industry groups who get a direct vote on the new global guidelines. But wait, the conversation is so much bigger than just those 25. You've also got 41 observers in the mix. These are countries, health organizations, and partners like the World Health Organization, and they're all there, participating, making sure a massive range of global viewpoints are heard before anything gets decided. So what started out with just those three founding regions, well, it's completely blossomed into a truly global partnership. We're talking about regulators and industry experts from every continent, all working together on one shared vision for public health. It's pretty amazing. Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the deep technical work, the real science. That's done by 681 experts in what they call working groups. And look at how this breaks down. Just over half come from the main member groups, sure, but a huge chunk, more than a third, come from those observer countries and other partners. What does that do? It creates this incredibly deep, diverse pool of scientific know-how, which means the guidelines they come up with are solid and can actually work everywhere. All right, so we know who's in the room, but how does an idea go from, just an idea to a global standard that countries all over the world actually follow? Let's walk through the process of science and consensus behind every single guideline. It's a really rigorous step-by-step process. It's not simple. First, in step 1, you've got those expert working groups drafting a scientific guideline. Then, step 2, a management committee looks it over. But step 3, this is where the magic happens. The full assembly has to reach a consensus. Everyone has to agree. And finally, step 4. This is where the rubber meets the road.
The regulatory members officially commit to putting that guideline into practice back in their own country.
You can boil the whole philosophy down to just two core principles. Everything they do is based on solid science, and, critically, no decision gets forced on anyone. It has to be a consensus. That way, you know everyone's on board.
Okay, this all sounds super organized, and it is. But what does it actually mean for people? For you, for me, for our families? Let's talk about the most important part, the real-world impact. How does this help get medicines to the people who need them?
Well, one of the most revolutionary things they've ever done is create what is basically a universal application for new medicines. I mean, just think about that for a second. Imagine preparing one single file that works for regulators everywhere on the planet.
That is exactly what the Common Technical Document, or CTD, does. It's one single, harmonized format for all that crucial data on a drug's quality, safety, and efficacy. This one simple but powerful idea has totally transformed the review process, making everything faster and more predictable for everyone involved.
Okay, another huge success story is something called MEDRA, which stands for the Medical Dictionary for Regulatory Activities. I know, it sounds super technical, but trust me, its impact on patient safety is absolutely profound.
So, what is it? MEDRA is basically a standardized global dictionary for medical terms. Why does that matter so much? It means that when a doctor in Japan and a regulator in Brazil are talking about the exact same side effect, they are literally speaking the same language. No confusion, no lost in translation errors. It's a universal language for patient safety, and that's a game changer.
And the scale of what they've accomplished is just immense. So far, the ICH has created 77 of these detailed technical guidelines. They cover 4 key areas: quality, safety, efficacy, and then a catch-all multidisciplinary category. And on top of all that, they've built those 2 massive electronic standards we just talked about, the CTD and MEDRA. It's basically a library of global standards for modern medicine. So if you bring it all together, the success of the ICH really boils down to these core pillars. It's science-based and consensus-driven. But just as important is that real commitment from everyone to collaborate and actually use these standards. And all of that together creates a single, common platform to push global health forward.
And that, of course, leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future. Look, the ICH has built this incredible foundation for global cooperation, no doubt about it. But as medical science just keeps accelerating, we've got revolutions like gene editing and AI drug discovery right around the corner. Can a model that relies on careful consensus building move fast enough to keep the world's medical rulebook up to date? That is the challenge ahead.